Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, depending on where you are today. We are so happy to hosting this webinar on change management from DT Consulting S5 Panama. So welcome to everyone and for everyone who is gonna connect or see this webinar after. So today we have um, a topic that is very current now. Everyone is talking about change management and how we can manage all these things are going on in this volatile and fast-paced environment. And also today we have a very special guest, Leilah, and I'm gonna introduce her in some minutes. But first, just for everyone who is the first time they connect to our webinars, let's talk a little bit about DT Consulting S5 Panama. So we were founded in 2012 as a business accounting firm in Panama. And in 2024, we launched our regional strategy. We opened also a branch in Miami, and now we're opening operations in Spain. But our focus is Latin America, and we are so proud to represent S5 in Panama. And not only we do provide finance and audit services, but also we have started incorporating some other services related to the talent development. So we also help companies related with all executive coaching and learning, and of course diversity and inclusion, how to create more inclusive workspaces for everyone. So these are our values and our solutions. And as I said before, since 2025, we've been part of SPI. So many people from this webinar and from this amazing network that we are over 300 cities in the world. And we are part of the Forum of Firms. And we have all these regular regulations on audit processes so we can render services all around the globe. And today, we are not talking about finance, but we are talking about smart skill. And one of the most important smart skill that is change management. But in some previous webinars, we have been introducing some skills that every manager, every leader should be able to handle for them and for their teams and for their companies if they want to succeed in this fast-paced world. So first, I really like to do this introduction on this top smart skills that our coaches, Gabriela Stone, has said. Okay, this is what we have to focus on, and these are adaptive intelligence, strategic communication, emotional intelligence, critical thinking, digital collaborations, resilience, creative thinking, time management, inclusive leadership, and of course, a mindset of growth. And the first one that we want to focus is this adaptive intelligence. So how we can adapt to the changes, to the world, to everything that's going on. And for that, today Leilah is going to talk a little bit about change management, and then we're gonna see how we can put together all this information that she's gonna share with us into some practical things that we can take into our companies. So I am not going to introduce myself because most of you already know me, but I'm the founder of DT Consulting. I'm an accountant, MBA, also executive coach, and I've done so many things there. But today we are going to talk about Leilah. She's also the founder of Outing Coaching. She has a broad experience in change management, working with a lot of companies, multinational companies, especially in the tech industry. And she has been also like me, live all around the world. She's from Brazil, but she lives in Panama. She worked in the US. Now she's in France. And now, hello, Leilah. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. And thank you already for the introduction. And I think I'm really happy to talk about this subject because I think change is part of who I am. I've lived 4 migrations and I've worked in at least for 5 companies, big companies such as IBM, Dell, Philips, through my career, and it's been 2 years that I've been with my own company. So this is why I would love to talk a little bit about change today with you, and hopefully, yeah, I hope that you take the most of it. This is my objective: is that you all take the most of this, and because of this, I would really appreciate anything that you would like to bring in as a question or anything like that. Mhm.
Thanks, Lay. And yes, and let's just remind everyone that if you have like any question, anything that you wanna to what Leila is going to present, you can use the chat. And she's going to like show the slides, and then when she finish her part, we can like do like a brief Q&A if you have any question, but you can put it in the chat. So let's go, Leila.
Excellent. So I would like to ask you all, what word comes to your mind when you think about change? Can you please answer on the chat? Anyone?
Don't be shy.
Gabriela, maybe can start. I can call Gabriela. I won't call all names, but maybe Gabriela, can you tell me what do you think? What are the words that comes to your mind when you think about change? Saji, did you say something? I think Gabriela, I'm not sure if she hears.
But yes,
Okay.
when we talk about change, it's like chaos and
So,
organization and
yes,
what
I
we
think,
can do. It's like complicated. It's what we do
thank you,
first, how
Aditi.
we can adapt.
Thank you. Thank you for that, dear. Dear, because and I think most of the times when I ask people, change is always hesitation. Thank you, Saji. Hesitation, objection, right? Most of the times are negative things. And why is that? And we can go to the second slide, please. And yeah. And I think this is quite common because I do coaching in neuroscience. And when we talk about neuroscience, we always go to our automatic brains. And in our automatic brain is our primitive brain, right? So as oh, don't worry, Saji. It's okay. Thank you already for your participation. So when we talk about our automatic brain, our primitive brain is the brain that every time that sees something that is different, it goes on flight or fight, right? When it sees a danger, when we were like we were in the many, so it sees it as a danger is either fight, I don't know, a danger or flight or just run away from it, right? So we do need our automatic brain. We need that to survive. And because we, as humans, we have about 60,000 thoughts every day or more than that. So our brain cannot just adapt to every single situation. We have to just walk and not thinking about how we are going to walk. But still, of course, this kind of our automated brain makes it that sometimes when we have it can start building beliefs as about change, for example, where we are trying just to adapt to whatever is coming, right? To uncertainty, to resistance, to the loss of control that comes with change. So as this and I wanted to bring these concepts in the beginning because if we feel our automatic brains and our bodies feel like that, and I don't know if this happened to you, I can give an example as well of me. I used to be really afraid of rats before, at the point that when I was seeing them on the subway in Paris, I was totally feeling a lot of stress in my body, right? So when we think about our teams, and this is why change is so important to be taken care of in a more global way, right? Because us as humans, we tend to just go just or flight it or fight it, right? In one way or the other. And very few times people are very comfortable with change or happy about the change, right? I mean, and this is also very cool. I've seen differently between cultures, right? I think in, for example, in Latin America, sometimes we're kind of more used to change because our governments, our countries have gone through it. So sometimes we can be, depending on our culture, more used to it than other cultures. Let's say more European cultures that sometimes we can be a little bit have a hard time with change as well. But it's not only about culture. I think just it's human nature. And we can go to the next slide, please. And I wanted to bring this. No, let me. Okay, I wanted to bring these images to you because we can always think about change as we have sometimes a way of doing things. Like for example, Olympic swimming pools, and we know the rules. We just go as fast as you can directly until the end, and that's it. But more and more, and I think especially with AI today, we know that everything is changing much faster in most of the companies, even smaller companies, bigger companies. All of us are having more and more changes. So I think it's like if you're used to doing Olympic pool and being an athlete, a swimmer, if you change all the rules and you say now the game is doing water polo, of course you are not going to do it in the first. You need to just explain the rules, explain how things are going to work. And the same happens with companies, right? Around change. So change is messy. So there is no way to do it in most of the cases. So we try to do and adapt ourselves in a way that we can manage it the best way we can, right? So trying to understand the environment that we are in, knowing that this could generate friction within our teams, and also will put some people under pressure, right? So what can we do? Okay, and then I'm going to tell you, we can go to the next slide, please, dear. And so I wanted to bring two examples about change that I lived personally in my career. And the first one is a case that I thought that change didn't work quite so well, and it was when I was in a company that we launched a new app for wellness, and I remember at the time this was launched by the innovation area, and I remember that was the whole innovation area with the CEO that they got this idea, so it was amazing, etc. I remember that we were in a town hall with him with the CEO, and he says, "Okay, so now we are going to launch this product. It's going to be amazing, great. So I need everybody to drop your responsibilities that you have if there is a request coming about this app. So you have to give it absolute priority because we have to make it work, you know." Knowing that, I knew that this was only work by innovation. And for example, there was no marketing involved on this. If you're going to launch an app, you will say marketing has to be involved. But at the time, it was not. And just to give you an idea that even companies that are in this case, well, it's kind of big company already, not so big. Still, we struggle with. We see these things daily. So in this case, there was no alignment between stakeholders. It created a lot of pressure for many areas that had to work with this. Let's say the commercial and the sales one that had to already start to sell a product that they were not used to it. And of course, there was some adaptations around it, but still the way it was done, it ended that we had to kill the app. So it's just an example how this really does happen. And then the company lost because we lost project fail. The company lost the money that invested on the app, on the resources and the people as well that were engaged on not only building the product, but also the people that had to work with it afterwards, right? So just this example that I saw that really marked that was there was a time that I said it was very difficult to deal with for the people, right? No stakeholder alignment, no preparations. It was really top down. So, well, this is one example of what I've seen. And I had two other examples that I wanted to share where change did really work. And the first one was not a happy example, but I really like to bring it in because it was one of the moments that it marked the most my career, I will say. And was I started this position as HRBP for a couple of countries. I had a couple of countries, and there was the CEO that actually hired me. So, and after a couple of months, I noticed that the CEO, well, he told me he had a disease, and things were going not pretty well. So I said that I was seeing him even going bad day by day, and so I was like, oh my God, this is something we have to do something about it. And the company didn't have a crisis management plan, which is a fancy word, right? So that we use in some big companies, but the idea is that you get prepared when something bad happens. That can be happened to me as well in Puerto Rico. I had a hurricane, for example. So you sort of have some of the things mapped already of if this something bad happens, so what we are going to do. Okay, so in this case, so I contacted the CFO and I told him like, look, I think I see a serious impact and a serious thing that could happen if something bad happens with the CEO. So we sort of have to, even that we are not going to know what is going to happen, it is kind of our job to think about the worst case scenario. It was a tough decision at the time, and we sat together, and then we mapped who was going to be impacted by what if this happened. And after that as well, we said, okay, we have to talk with it. We talk with the CEO. Of course, we were a management team. We were close, so there was nothing about hiding information or anything like that. But it was the first talks with him was like, we know that you have to take care of you. So what we are going to do together, so you take care of you and you have more time for yourself to focus on your health. And like that, we started prepared a plan also because all the commercials at the time were attached to him. So we started to prepare a plan for the commercials to step into some responsibilities and just, make them grow a little bit so they could manage. At least the CEO was the one approving every commercial deal at the time. So at this moment, we told him like, let's set some boundaries on terms of until how many million or how many $1,000 you can and they can approve by themselves, or and after that there's going to be the CFO, and after that only if the one is a super big deal is going to be used. So, and like that he could have a less pressure at the time. And not only that, and then of course, what happened is that it was very unfortunate, but he died at the end. And but at that time, as we took everything so much in advance of what could happen, so once this happened, actually, me, the CFO, and some other people we were already, we knew what was our responsibility. And at that time, so one was contacting the clients. The other person was also, from my side as HR, was also I already had written communications to tell the employees. We already had planned even I think it was a mess because, well, a lot of Catholic people in Panama, and I think we did that. We had some support, psychology support as well. So just to give you an extent of everything that we thought, to just make sure that people felt that we supported them through this change, right? So I don't want to take too much time on this one, but then was not a smooth transition because it was a really catastrophic, well, a really sad, but still as much as it could be, we made that happen like that. The stability more or less was maintained. In the operations also run also as the people could take up as well their work. So everything was pretty planned, and I think people felt really supported through the process, right? One another example that I wanted to give you is that it's really not as not as this, and because I work with a lot of companies that are implementing AI on it, and I think it also reminds me a time when I work with lean management implementation, and I think I give you as a best case or something that you could do, and so we did that at Philips. We implemented lean. First thing, I know the management team was already they had a couple of prior meetings before the official launch that we were going to implement this. Lean is process improvement. It's sort of a way of, I'm going to simplify this, and sorry if there is someone specialized in leaning on the call, but just to let you know that it's a way of managing projects and that everybody can continuous improve is by smaller steps, any process in the company. So Philips launched this methodology, and this is the way that also I do it with the companies that are help with implementation of AI. So there was an executive sponsor. Executive sponsor. After that, there was so managers were communicated around that and what was going to happen. After that, we had everybody was formed on lean management. There was a clear sponsor of lean management that was well, there was an executive sponsor, but there was also the lean champion, or at the time the director of transformation, that he was in charge of the whole lean transformation. And this is also something that I would recommend to people that are implementing AI, to have a clear sponsor of, okay, you are going to implement AI. Okay, so have someone that people can turn into. It's going to be the responsible of this implementation. And at the time, during the communications, there was a big focus of why we are doing this, right? And in the company was because we wanted to improve our processes internally. And in cases of AI that I see quite often now is also saying and ask the management teams, okay, what do we want to achieve, right? In terms of why are we implementing AI? Is this only because we want to people to get familiar with the tools? That's okay. So if other companies need it because their whole industry is changing. So also this why has to be very clear on the top, so we can go every single layer on the organization, going to with a specific communication to also tell people how are we going to translate this into specific objectives for everybody on the organization as well. So this is what happened. Then we had in the case of lean, we had the after that we had this lean champion. There were other lean smaller champions, let's say, in every area, in HR, in operations, and there were just people that were and everybody in the organization was trained on in lean management. And after that, these champions and people that wanted to work with this subject, and I was the lean champion for HR at the time. I was just raising my hand and saying, "Oh, I'm super interested in this subject." So they gave me a little bit more learnings, and they trained me a little bit more than my colleagues. So I was able to just test a little bit more of things, and also take all the things that were implemented in my area about lean, and send it to and also share with the other lean champions and with the lead transformation manager that was the owner of this process. So this is something that I've seen also in many companies in AI as well. Sorry, I hope that this is not so confusing. Is it clear so far? I know that is a big topic, but I wanted to bring it because I know that it's a reality for many companies so far. Is it okay so far? And I can go to the, is it clear or less? Okay. Thank you, thank you. So once we have the champions, and then people that are working, an owner that is implementing, and in this case was lean, and in the other cases that I'm working with is AI. Then you just go there and test, and we try to build sometimes that is I was the lean champion, so people knew that I was going to spend 1 hour or two from my week on lean initiatives, right? So it start because if we want to work with things like this or with AI, so we have to kind of also let people the time to, and we are giving them double hats to test this. I think it's important to also see on their bandwidth in terms of work if they can assume or not this kind of responsibility, right? And then so after that, it's just building ways of measuring, and in the case of lean, I remember that it was very simple way of measuring if we were implemented. This was in the objectives of all the employees. So every employee had to make one process improvement once a quarter. So it was a super clear way of measuring, even if we couldn't go until, okay, is this really improving the whole company? But super clear. So everybody knew that had to make one process improvement by quarter. And then I will say just go and see what works and what doesn't work. So it's also a place where I think either you have champions or you work with your managers to be the champions, depending on the size of your companies, and to see what are the problems that are coming up, what are the things that are being well implemented, what not. So you can just take all this information and every week, every 2 weeks, once a month, go to the lean champion or the AI champion, let's say, and talk with the person to say okay, and then you align again what you're going to implement or not, depending on this. Last part, but the most important one is the communication, right? The structured communication that you have over the layers to see how well you are doing on your change. So in the case of Lean, so we had the quarters, we had the conversation with our managers every quarter at least to know about the improvements. But also remember that we had every team had to had a board of seeing what were the improvements and the KPIs that we were working very tight to Lean. So this was a very visual way of seeing what we were doing and if Lean was being implemented or not. But then in AI, I think it really depends on your area, how you work, but also creating this across different levels, let's say, so people know exactly what does this change mean to me actually, how is this, how I'm taking benefit of it. And talking specifically about AI, sorry, I'm talking a lot about this because I think it's super important and it really doesn't touch all the companies the same way. But in some companies, I think it can be the difference of keeping people employable as well. So this is the way I say if you people are not interested in the subject, so it's their employability actually. And I think we as a companies we have a responsibility of helping them, but people also need to be really hands-on on the topic. So that's it about my. Okay, we can go to the
Great.
next slide.
I just want to add there that
Yeah.
like some months ago, we had also from SPY a conversation about AI and how we are like implementing and how it's like impacting in our different like businesses. Some of us here are like more like accountants, some more like consultants, some more like taxes, and even we have lawyers in the network. And this specific like example on AI, I think it's very current and it's something that most of us are like now dealing with. It's like, okay, how we implement this? It's like each employee is gonna take, I don't know, use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or we as a company we're like just set a plan, say, okay, we are going to transition through here. We are having like a champion. So I think I really like this example because it's something that most of us are like dealing now. So I bet that in the end we're having some questions about this.
No, thank you. I'm happy. And to let you also know, even big companies are a bit struggling with this topic. And I can tell you that I was talking with a direct, it's a VP. He's the one of the big shot of innovation of this big, really big tech company globally. It's an American company, but the VP of innovation is based in France. And he told me, Leila, actually, we have all the tools, we have all the money to implement, but he told me two things that really strike me. The first was, I'm telling my software developers that actually they are not going to be out of their jobs. And I was like, this is kind of, debatable. Because if you say something like this, I don't think creates actually trust on people because people are not going to 100% believe it. So I think it's a more as more transparent we can be in terms of we don't know this is happening in all companies, so let's try to do it and go in advance so we can adapt to this change as faster as we can, and then we will see everything will be transformed. We cannot know exactly of course software developers will be transformed, but then if we are before we make it happen before the change, so it's going to be easier and you are going to be employable. It doesn't matter where you are. So this is my commitment to you. So I think there are ways of saying this, and so that struck me. This is a big company. And the second thing is that he told me, oh, my developers, they are creating, everybody's creating AI separately, AI agents, but the thing is that they don't talk to each other. So it's kind of that they are creating their own world, and I'm struggling to make teams work together, so people can benefit actually as a team from all the tools that we are putting in place or the improvements that they are making. So another example of how the things that I heard in the companies now. So
Yeah, thanks for
yes.
sharing that, because it's
Mm,
like
mm,
something that
mm, mm.
we are dealing with, and we need
Yeah.
also examples to compare ourselves and not to feel like,
Mm.
okay, we are very far away from everyone. It's like,
No, I think in all companies, I think most of the companies are really struggling in one way or the other about this topic. So, some of the core principles are say that as early as we can, the communication as frequent as we can as well, because people can interpret the communications in many different ways. So, how do you layer the communication that was done in a town hall and go to the teams with your managers and say, what did you understand about this communication? What are your takes on it? And see, because then you are going to realize that people and employees that doesn't necessarily understand on the same level, on the same way. So it's an opportunity for the manager position himself or herself as a manager, and take a hands on the community. No, actually, it's this way and that way. So then you engage people, I would say. The layer vision from to tactical is what I was talking about, how we translate the changes between for every layer of the organization as well. So if our objective is, oh, we want to be the organization that, I don't know, makes people the most employable as possible with AI. Let's say that's your objective. Okay, how does that translate for your VP level? I'm talking as a big company, but this is also the case for any medium-sized company. So this what does really mean at the end for your employee, for every employee that you have. Same for local translation as well, right? So make it, I think it's the two faces of the same coin. And then the reinforcement of, if we do just a communication once, and this happened many times, I remember that, just a communication once and that's it. So people are like, they interpret in a different way. So if it is a really important or big change that you are living on the organization, so you have to have regular points of how you communicate or how do you give updates, even if the update is, we don't know yet, but we are going to know probably in 3 weeks. That's already more clear of just I don't know, and I don't like the I don't like what is happening either, because I've seen in companies many times managers are just in the same boat with you employee, but that doesn't help the anxiety of people go living through the change, so not going to say that you have to hide what you're feeling about it, but I think as managers we do have an important mission of trying to guide these people that they are going to live through the change. So it's just maintaining of, yeah, I don't know that either yet, but I know that probably in around 2 or 3 weeks we will know. And if things change, you try to keep it as transparent as you can. So we can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so we've talked about this as well. So why, right? When we go through change, what do you need? The model that I will recommend, and this model I think comes from super big company. McKinsey. Yeah, that's from McKinsey. Yes. Why are we going through this change? What is going on behind it? Role model. What this is exactly what I was talking about. Role model the change. You as a manager, you as an HR, and helping people go go along with it in every single layer of the organization. Capabilities is about giving, of course, if we are going to every all organization on AI, on lean or whatever is the change. So train people around that, because otherwise people are not going to be able to go as fast as you can, and you're going to probably spend more money because you didn't invested on this before. So I think training and is super important, or making sure that people are able or have the competencies to manage this change. So it's the two things, and the reinforcement, which is around the communication, right? The structures about the new behaviors or the change that you are going to implement. So I think we talk about almost all of this, and we can go to the next slide. And I think it's almost yeah, same thing about the then you can, as a more easiest way for you to remember in any changes that you implement is remember the why, what changes for me, what changes for you, what are going to change for my people, what stays the same, what support there will be, and how do we measure success. So the five most important things for you to have in mind whenever you are implementing change. And I think that's and yeah, so I'll leave you with the all organizations are not longer implementing changes, most of them. So agile organizations that are building the capacity for permanent adaptation, right? How are you making change part of your life? Because I think it is for most of the companies. So that's what I wanted to leave you, and then open for any questions that you have. You can send it to on the chat or open the microphone as you prefer.
Thanks, Lay. Okay, as we wait for some questions here, just have like two more slides on how to apply this on a daily basis here. I think that we've learned a lot from all the amazing examples that Leilah shared with us. So if you feel or if you see that some of these like situations like resonate with what you or your teams are like going through, or maybe your clients, because also Leilah, with all her experience, we can like implement these like change management projects or these like, as she mentioned, like it started to be more like a lean strategy towards that change. So Leilah is the best for this. So how can we implement this in the real world, and how can you like take all this information that you get here today in the webinar and take it to your clients, to your teams, to your companies? Of course, we're gonna share you like after all this presentation, and also like just one pager so you can like share with your clients of how we can specifically help them in order to adapt to this change. So summing up what Leilah just mentioned is, if you are a leader like like all of you are, so remember first to model it first and demonstrate visibly what you're going to do. Then you have to make it safe, because people need this psychological safety in order to like start going through all these changes, as Leilah did the example with the CEO that was changing, who was ill. So okay, how will people like emotionally connect with the change that's going on? Because we cannot stop change. Change is constant. So okay, how we prepare like mentally our teams, okay, to face that change. Then recognize it publicly, communication, no? And celebrate all these examples and how good or bad you're doing through the process. But I think that's super important to have like this, like open communication with everyone in your organization to see, okay, we are going through this like storm, change, tsunami, whatever you want to call it. But okay, communicate, communicate, communicate. And then coach, just don't train. As Leilah said, we need like new capabilities and new skills in order to go through change, because behaviors or people, even like if you are like doing like a merge of companies, that's a big change for people. And all these like things and questions that they may have, I'm gonna like quit my job, I'm gonna go to another department, I'm gonna be out of my work, AI is gonna replace me. Okay, people has to have all these like soft skills also, and be heard, by you as leaders. And finally, personalize it and adapt to each person, to each a company. Remember, each one of us has like different ways of leadership and way of communicating. So make it your own, and take it also. Be very aware of the culture of your company and how you're gonna like go through the change with your own like I don't know how to say it in English, like impronta, with your own, like, with your own flavor. We say in Latin America. Um, so, as some ideas that you can like bring to your teams while you're going through change management, besides like all the executive coaching that you may have with the rest of the leader, with your clients, and with your teams, like, you can do like manage it manage it as a temporary project. You have like these sponsors that Leilah spoke about. You like micro learning sessions like every day or every week. Also like some quarterly sprints. Okay, we are doing like this like 2 months. Like we're gonna change everything these 2 months and then see how it turns out, because that's something important, that you have to put some deadlines in all this process. You cannot just be always changing and always adapting. You have to like have a clear strategy for that. And of course, then you can have group coaching and some lunch and learn, some activities with your teams, in order to like get them together to this process. And most of these activities and most of the change management strategy, Leilah, DT Consulting, and SFI as a whole, like we can like help you implement that in your companies with your clients. Someone was asking me if Leila speaks Portuguese, and I say yes, of course, it's from Brazil. So here we can do it in French, in Spanish, in English, in I don't know, Catalan. I'm studying. We are still not have like Arabic that I think was Sashi asked me. And, okay, we are working on that, Sashi. But of course, we can do all the trainings in English for that and help each other of each one of you with like some like I don't know, translation or with some people there. But the last thing that I want to give it to you is like an immediate uh, step, uh, action step. You know, it's like what are you gonna do like this week, next week, in order to start changing, to start implementing change or start dealing with change. So we always want to this. Okay, how we maybe sometimes we don't realize that we are going over a change process. So sometimes we have to like stop, breathe, and say, okay, what's going on? Yes, my team changed. I have a lot of rotation, or a big client is coming and we need to adapt to it. So many things are changing in our daily basis. So take a deep breath, think of that, and then, okay, say, let's go with that. And the last like quote that we have here is like, well-led organizational change does not create resistance, it creates trust. Because as at the beginning, I think was Sashi who said, okay, like hesitation, like fear and everything. It's like if we communicate and if we follow all these steps that Leila shared with us, all change process is gonna be like related with trust and a very like bold team that work together for a good end. So thank you. I think we have a question here,
Yeah, I
Leila.
do have a question. I do have one question for Marco. So your perspective is as a manager of these employees or as an employee? What is just to understand as an employee? So as an employee, I will say try to go because there is always a why changes are happening, right? And I think even though it's the responsibility of the company to explain you why these things are happening, I think us as an employee, and I put myself as an employee because we are managers sometimes or HRs, but we're also employees, right? And sometimes we are not aligned or we don't like the changes that are happening with the company. So I think this is it's normal, right? But there is always there's whys. So there are whys. So there is no clear structure why, because the company is going to be bought, or is there is no clear structure. So try to understand why these things are happening in the company, because when you understand the why, sometimes it kind of gives you a little bit of perspective of not taking it too much in the things. So, that is sometimes we feel it as it is personal because you don't have a manager that is able to help us like clearly, etc. So I would say in every company, so try to understand this why, try to talk with people that understands why these things are happening in a way of just informally, and maybe if your manager is not there for you to guide you through it, maybe go and talk informally with people that you consider that you respect in the company and you think that could have a clear direction about the things, because I don't think it's kind of bad for you in any way to show interest about why. So I think this is well seen always. If someone as an HR came and asked me about, oh, why this is happening, I think you won't lose anything. You only can gain in clarity, let's say. And then you can say, okay, so what does this change mean to me? So is it maybe an opportunity for you as an employee to see, okay, maybe it's not the company that I would like to be? Or maybe is it that, oh, okay, I understand better. And then this is it's going to create opportunities in terms of in the future for me that I would like to position in this or that in the company, because I know that they are going to probably, and I'm giving you this example because I think I've lived many, many dismissals and massive layoffs in companies. Uh, and in these cases, there was always the fear of being dismissed. Of course, there was massive layoff, But there were always opportunities being creative of new areas, of new services, of needs that were not there. And at the time, there was something that was probably interested in terms of my career. So you kind of be a little bit opportunistic in that sense as well, of if that's something that you want to do, right? And then CAI, as an employee, I would say CAI, take everything from it because you can only benefit to learn about AI now at this point, you know? So from an employee standpoint, just grab everything you can because this is going to, as I was saying, this is going to help your employability, even if it is independently of this company or not. You know, your employability is still is the most important thing that you have, your resource, you know. So if AI is being implemented, sorry, so I would say engage as much as you can around this. I hope that answer was clear. You're welcome.
Lay, I have one question related to that just to
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
It's like, what what's your recommendation when we see, maybe as an employee or maybe as part of another department in our companies, that okay, a change is going on, but management or the C level is like not facing it, and they are not doing anything, and they just want to do that nothing is happening and saying, okay, let's see what happens out of this, but they are not doing like anything. What can we do, or what do you recommend? Okay, how we like set the alarms?
Yeah, so always you of course your direct manager is the main person to kind of set the alarm, you know. Is the main person to do that. So I say, do they know this? Do they- And from my experience, most of the times they do know. And I'm going to give you the example. I was working in a company that has making almost no investments internally on IT. And all the time we were like, but why are they living like this? This is costing so much to our clients, you know. So we were seeing it from employee, and even management or HR side saying like, they are not investing anything on this. How can this be normal? Because we're losing so much money because we are not able to provide proper service to our clients because our IT sucks, you know? And you know what happened? The company was going to be sold. So this is why they
Yeah,
didn't want it to do it. So I think most of the times CEOs, they kind of know, so probably they don't want to talk about it. So I would say recommendation is go to your like manager, say, oh, I'm noticing this and that in a really informal way. I've seen this. Do you see this as well? Is this normal? What do you think? So ask your direct manager about it. See how sometimes if your direct manager doesn't know, so you can say, oh, there's something going on, something that they are probably not telling me. And it's okay, but for example, in this case, the company was not going to tell, nobody could say that the company was going to be sold. Was super confidential
yeah,
information at the time. We only knew it like maybe 2 years after that. So, it's not the kind of thing that sometimes they cannot be super transparent about because there are clauses, there are contracts between companies, they are binding. So there are a lot of legal things around this. And this is sometimes why they cannot say it. So just think that maybe there is something going on. So you can imply
perfect.
some of the things. And yes, ring the alarm to your boss, I would say. Your boss is the main, and then even yeah, I would say that going talk about this with other people. You can ask people around that, but if you get too insisted as well, it can be a bit bad for your image as
Yeah,
well. You can become so that the person that is trying to create issues. So take care of not being that person
yeah.
for your
You
sake
have to
and
be
for
very
your
politically
sake.
correct also.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, it's a bit
yeah.
of politics as well. Unfortunately, we in organizations you kind of have to be smart. I would say politics is being, play it smart.
Okay. Thanks for that, Lay. And so we're
Welcome.
finishing. So as I said before, if you want like to take this to your companies, to your clients, if you want like some more advice with this from the Consultants by Panama, we have all the team in order to like help you with this. And there is the Leilah's email, my email, even though we're gonna share this presentation with you after we finish it. And thank you so much. Here are contact numbers, but we're also in the network in this file website. So I'm gonna just stop sharing here and Lay. And just to finish, what like something that you want to share with us, like some like final
Yeah.
final phrase, like motivational phrase to take from
I
this.
was motivation. I don't know if it is motivation, but I would say to learn to love change makes it exciting for me. It has made my life exciting. So I will invite you to also look for change in times where change is everywhere. So make it that if you love change, you can direct what you want to do in your life in this sign, in this sense. So you can do it. You can do whatever you like. So but there to love change, there to accept it, there to be before many other people. Yep.
Thanks, Lei, for your time, for sharing all your
Mm.
knowledge with this. And okay, here Rui says, thank you for this. It's an excellent
Roy.
material to say to our client portfolio, and it puts me in a stronger position with them. And that's great to hear from
Mm.
that from Portugal. So, Lei, that's yours in
Thank you.
Portuguese.
Mhm.
But yes, that's the point. So the idea is to see that we as a network, we can like offer like more services and more things together all around the globe. So thanks all for you for joining us. And we're like gonna watch this webinar after. So thank you so much. Thanks, Lei. Thanks all the
You're
team also.
welcome. I would say to anyone that is interested on the subject, feel free to connect on LinkedIn as well. And we can grab a virtual coffee, 20 minutes, just to, and still keep this expanding our networks and also knowing about what is going on in your company. So let us know as well. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so
Thank
much, Lei.
you.
Thanks to everyone, and see you next
See
time around
you.
in our webinars. Bye bye.
Bye.